P365. I'm familiar with it, though not this model.
That's the Legion, all metal.
See, well, that's right.
You feel it?
And I hate to admit, when Glocks first became really popular, because as a revolver guy and a metal gun guy and a sentimental guy, I was like, no. And I don't like striker fire in general, but pretty great gun. So now I do shoot a plastic gun sometimes, but this is like pretty amazing. Thank you. You're welcome. So nice. Oh my gosh.
17 plus 1.
The 9mm round I was very skeptical about as just basically a 357 guy. I shoot it in pistols, but also in lever guns. And I just like the round. I like 357, period. And I think the 9mm round is like kind of all you need in this world. I'm shooting mostly bowling pins with handgun ammo, so it's like not really an issue for me. How's the trigger? I can't.
It's amazing.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I love SIG, and I love that it's made in New England. That's really important.
Do you think we're going into World War III?
Really close to it, as you know. The fact that anyone would even consider getting within 1,000 miles of fucking around with a nuclear exchange just shows you that the core impulse here is suicide. That's what all of this is. And that's why I personally think it's spiritual. The word demonic is suddenly being overused. It's everywhere because it's real. If you see a human movement that's anti-human, the push toward nuclear war for its own sake is by definition anti-human, I would say. AI is anti-human by definition. Transgenderism is anti-human by definition. Transhumanism is anti-human. Do people act against their own long-term interests? Probably not, actually. So it's probably not human. I'm like looking at this like very autistically, very simply, trying to reduce it to its most basic elements. And like any movement that's anti-human is probably not human. Try to marry a girl who likes her dad. I think that's important. Or who did like her dad when she was little. Second, like just resolve not to get divorced. But I would say the main thing is spending time with your wife when your kids are little, which is really hard. It's very tempting, or it's natural, actually, to divert your attention from your spouse to your children. The temptation for men is to be like, okay, I have a choice of hanging out with my 5-year-old. It's like, Dad, you're so great. And my wife, who's like kind of pissed at me for reasons I don't really understand, she's just crazy. So I'm going to just go out for the kids because that's like the sugar high. That's like, plus they're my kids. If you keep doing that, you will destroy your marriage. Facing off against a pissed off wife is the scariest thing you'll ever do. It's scarier than jumping out of an airplane. No man wants to do it. That's why they golf. And you're going to abandon her in subtle, easy to justify ways, mostly by hanging with your kids. Why would you want to deal with her? You know what I mean? She's mad at you. And the last thing I'll say is if you want to have happy children, have a happy marriage. That is the most important thing you can do for your children.
5 things you can't live without.
Well, I hit a moose in 2018 in my truck, a bull moose going 70, and survived, totaled the truck. It's a 2018 Silverado. And the insurance company's like, we're done, we're getting a new truck. And I was like, nope, I survived. So I rebuilt the truck. I love that truck because it defeated that moose. I have, a shotgun from my dad that I hunt with that I really love.
What kind of shotgun?
Side by side.
Nice.
I love to fly fish. My favorite fly rod is probably a 2002 2-piece LL Bean Streamlight. And the action on this is just insane. I wear my dad's watch. He would always have a Pall Mall. He pronounced it Pall Mall for some reason. Pall Mall in his hand with this watch.
Last item.
We have this barn where we live that was the town garage where I work out of, actually. We use it for family dinners and stuff, but mostly we use it for storage because my wife and I are both the oldest in our family. So we have a barn that is filled with, no exaggeration, 150 years worth of stuff from relatives.
You were trying to get into CIA.
Yeah, as Vladimir Putin reminded me. I don't know how you knew that. Yeah, I applied to CIA when I was a senior in college.
What did you want to do for the CIA?
Operations. And I should just say, for the record, that I had no idea what the CIA was. I think Kermit Roosevelt actually lived right down the street from us.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh, man, that's cool.
And I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. I'm not being false about it. I am a sworn enemy of the CIA at this point, no doubt about that. So I got dinged from CIA for drugs. I'll just be totally honest. I had done cocaine within the last calendar year. And the rule was at the time, if you've done certain drugs within 12 months, you can't join. So funny. I'll never forget this going home.
They would literally tell us that. Guys, just think about fuzzy bunnies when you're taking this test.
Those tests are insane. They sent me a letter, so bring a number 1 pencil. So I say to my father, I have to bring a number 1 pencil. Well, you better go to the stationery store. We lived in Georgetown. I walk in there, I was like, I'd like a number 1 pencil, please. And I'm like, there is no such thing as a number 1 pencil. So I go home and I say to my father, I'm like, I couldn't get a number 1 pencil. And he's like, well, just try it with the number 2 pencil. So I show up, we sit down in this giant auditorium. All the military guys, they're so gotta follow the rules. Oh, excuse me, sir. I couldn't find a number 1 pencil. And everyone's like, I couldn't either. Never forget the CIA guy administering the test is like, like, you couldn't find a number one pencil? Okay, well then I guess a number two will do. But anyway, you answer these questions, as you know, they're repetitive. They ask you the same question in a different form. And one of them was, I am fascinated by fire. You'd have to be a fucking lunatic to say yes, because you're clearly a psycho, right? And my father, who knew a lot about this subject, goes, yeah, but the psychos don't know they're psychos. But it was booze. That is what got me. My wife was pregnant with our fourth child. I was fairly functional. I mean, I did a daily TV show and was fairly well known, kind of famous actually at that point, kind of killing it. And I'm busy. I've got a lot of children. I've got stuff to do. I would just like not hesitate to have a cocktail or 3 a.m. I'm just like a no dicking around kind of guy, I guess. And that's a very bad pattern to get into. At this point, we had gotten an ice maker in our refrigerator, which we'd never had. If you're struggling with drinking, don't get an ice maker because it's just too easy. I had a couple of moments where I lost control, actually at the White House Christmas party in 2001. I woke up this one morning at the last day of August 2002, and my wife was 10 days away from giving birth to our fourth child. And I was sitting at my desk smoking a cigarette, and I just heard this voice. I don't know if it was a voice. It was from God. It was the clearest possible instruction. If you keep doing this, you will lose your wife and children. I've been to one AA meeting in my life, and it was 3 weeks ago. And it was because Russell Brand.
I would be working for the agency. We're all insomniacs. And it was just take whatever the fuck you can just to try to get some sleep. That starts the cycle.
Like alcohol, I think those are the only 2 categories where withdrawal can kill you. Heroin, no. Crack, no. Benzos and alcohol can literally kill you and kill a lot of people.
I had a suicide attempt. Can't believe we're going here. Parked the car in the garage, left the engine running, reclined the seat back, and was like, let's check out. It didn't work. I woke up in my bedroom in my townhome. My whole townhome smelled like gas. So I came down the stairs, and there was a pistol that I had gotten out of the safe, which I'd never use, and all my clothes were on the couch in front of the TV, so I think that maybe I was pondering killing myself on the couch, and then I went to the garage, and I touched the door handle, and it was hot to the touch, and I was like, oh shit. Addiction to adrenaline, it's culture of being in that life. It's a very toxic fucking culture. It's the competitiveness that's ingrained in you from the time you show up day 1, week 1 of training. It's who's the fastest runner, who's the fastest swimmer, who's the best shot, who's killed the most people, who's gone on the most ops, who's gone on the most high profile ops, who's got the most jumps. It's all that, all the time. Every day you have to prove yourself to be there. The competitive nature is ingrained in you, striving for perfection on day 1, week 1 of training when you're going to become a special operator.
Now we all know that this whole enterprise is bullshit, and they refuse to get better. They refuse to admit it. And as a former alcoholic, I know the process of just admit it. Just admit it. I'm kind of a loser. It's all right. You can say that because it's true and everyone knows it already. Just admit it and get better. They refused. They're still defending the Iraq War. They're still defending the indefensible Vietnam War. Still pretending we didn't know the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor. Like, there's too many lies. Like, I can't deal with this many lies, actually. And it's very unhealthy to live in a society that is defined by lies. It corrodes your soul. It's bad for you. You go to hell, actually. You're living in hell when you live that way. And all of this came to me in this short period of time, and I couldn't quite articulate it, but I felt it so strongly it affected my sleep. It really just changed my life forever. But it's a burden to have all of your pre-existing beliefs explode in a short period of time. You know, it's like, wow. It's like being kicked out of a cult. You're like, I can't believe I live there.
There's very few people that you meet in media that are the same person that they are on camera is off.
Because they're frauds.
You're one of them. You're the same person.
Well, I hope so.
And I think a lot of people, they get to a certain point in life by being in character. They wear a fucking costume, they're a character, it's a facade, and then they get fucking trapped in that facade. They can't get out of it. There's nothing real about them.
Yes.
And now that they found success through being a fucking character, now they're trapped forever.
Well, that's why they have bad marriages. Like, you'll never fool your wife. You know what I mean? Like, you'll never impress her with that stuff, ever. She knows who you are. I've done 2 things that I really enjoyed since getting fired. One was being able to travel around to different countries and interview people there. I couldn't do that because I was stuck in a studio every night. I really love that, so I want to keep doing that, and I am. And the second thing I've really enjoyed is going on other people's podcasts. It's just fun. And why is that not fun? It's fun. Why don't I do that? And why don't I do it at my actual dining room table in my barn, where my son's engagement party was, or like where my family actually eat? You know, like, why not do that? I've had a makeup artist my whole life, as I told you, and like, that's a little embarrassing to admit that. I used to tell my kids, your dad wears makeup. Why do that? Probably should be ashamed of how I look, but I'm actually not really. I'm married to the same girl. I don't really care. So why not just do exactly exactly what I would do anyway. And we don't have TV at our house and we don't go to the movies. Like our entertainment is meals. Like that's always been our entertainment, always. And we take them really seriously. Always have people over for dinner. We always have 10, 12 people at the table. Not super exciting, but for us, that's our entertainment. That's what we do. And that's what we've always done.
I feel like we're being pushed into Civil War.
Yes. Oh, of course.
Who do you think is pushing? I mean,
it's all on instinct.
With the weaponization of media, social media, bots, all the lies in the division. I mean,
of course.
Who do you think is pushing it? Or are we already in it?
We're in definitely an undeclared conflict. It's a conflict, of course. I don't think it's ever fully articulated anywhere by anybody, but it's a conspiracy of like-minded instincts, as I noted at the beginning. People from the same class, the beneficiaries of our current system, understand what people all understand intuitively, which is divide and conquer. The Israel protests. The biggest thing happening in America is a fight in a faraway country. No. Over 100,000 people just died of fentanyl this year. Like, what? I'm not even taking a position on the Israel thing. I'm coming at this from very limited interest, actually, and I'm not against Israel. But if you're telling me that conflict is the biggest thing happening in my country, fuck you, actually. Because no, it's not. Pro-Israel or it doesn't even matter. Like, I'm American. Like, what?
Building 7. So that building got reported being down 26 minutes before it actually fell. And you can't...
Totally normal.
Yeah, right? There's a woman on BBC.
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
There's a woman on TV on BBC talking about...
Oh, I've seen it.
Talking about how the building is already collapsed and it's right behind her.
Well, let me just
26 minutes later, the building collapsed. What do you think?
Well, first of all, how dare you for noticing? It's really your fault for noticing that, I think. And I think you're a bad person for noticing it, okay? Just to be clear. That's the official position of Washington. Shut up. I don't know the answer, of course. I'm not a structural engineer. A lot of people think what happened to Building 7 seems impossible. A lot of structural engineers have written this and think that seems impossible. It seems impossible to me too, but I don't know. All I know is that, as in the case that I described with NATO and Trump, if your answer to a sincere question like, how did that happen, is shut up, it's to attack me for asking the question, then I know you're rotten. I'm usually pretty curious. I've stopped being curious about this because I don't want to know anymore.
You truly don't want to know anymore about it?
I think I know. I think I know what's up. So I can't prove it. Probably not going to articulate it, but I think I know what's up, yeah.
Can you articulate it?
I think it's a really old story.
What is it?
I'm a Christian and I am fairly sincere about it. I try to be sincere about it. More sincere than ever, for sure. One thing that you notice about every world religion I'm familiar with, I'm interested in that topic, there are commonalities between religions. Jesus is unique, and I believe in Jesus. So I don't believe in any kind of pantheology, okay? I don't think they're all equal or anything like that. I think mine is correct. I think that. But there are commonalities that are very striking between all world religions I'm aware of and all creation myths. One of them, and this is of course true for Christianity, very true, is that the belief that supernatural beings take physical form. They all believe that. The Greek myths, Jesus, most famously. And it's described in Genesis as well, in Genesis 6. If every culture in the world that we know about, who's left any kind of written or physical record, is reaching the same conclusions about something, maybe there's something there. What I find so striking about the UFOs, this is the main takeaway I have. There's this debate like, is this stuff, these phenomena, which are clearly, obviously real? I mean, there's no debate about that. There's a lot of shit that people can't explain in the sky and underwater. We know that. So the debate is this government technology? Is it from outer space or is it some spiritual realm? Here, I've already told you my view of it. But what I find so interesting, we know the government's lied about it. They're lying about it now. That's a fact. There's no way around that. They have absolutely lied about it in very elaborate ways. Here's my current thinking on it. The main effort that the U.S. government has put into its disinformation, its lying on this topic, has been not to mislead you on the technology. They're not telling me they don't have anti-gravity technology. It sounds from watching your podcast that they do, which I believe. Their main interest is in convincing you that the supernatural is not real. So he finally goes to the doctor, and the doctor looks down his throat and goes, holy shit, and gives him an emergency tracheotomy in the examining room because he had such a huge tumor in his throat. And he was such a heavy smoker, they're like, you got throat cancer. Well, it turned out to be tuberculosis that he caught in China, but they didn't know that at the time. I fly down to Washington. I get to the hospital just as my father's getting out of the recovery room. My stepmom's there, was really the kindest person I've ever met. So he's getting wheeled out, and he's in this gurney, and he's got, of course, so he can't talk. He's got a hole in his throat. He's recovering from surgery, and my brother and I are there, like, trying to keep from, I'm crying in front of my dad, but our dad's dying. He's got throat cancer. Holy shit. It was out of nowhere. He sees us, and he, was like, hey, guys, like, we can't talk. Hey, guys. And he looks down, and he sees his wife. I'm watching his face. He sees her butt, and he's reached out and grabs her butt.